All right, welcome back to Long Island and the world's number one pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, straight out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island, where this is one of the ultimate shows,
Of
right?
course it is.
Because, fans are
it is.
waiting, we're waiting because we're fans.
Yep.
The great Barry Windham is in studio.
Yes,
We
sir.
had him a couple of years back in the
Mhm.
oldest studio.
Yep.
And
Yep.
now we got him back, and again, I think I've said it a million times that this guy is like in my top 10 favorite wrestlers.
Were you up
of
at
all
5
time.
a.m. reading PWIs from back
No.
in the day? Barry
No, it wasn't like
No?
that. But
Why
it was
not?
like, but being the
do you
WWE
mean?
guy, right,
Yeah.
when he was down in Georgia, it was like
Yeah,
the dude was badass.
absolutely.
All the angles.
Yeah.
Remember when we saw him in Florida for the first time?
I was
off of
just,
the UJ
I was just gonna
UHF?
say he's from my earliest days of like doing the UHF, but hoping that there's not too much snow on that screen, so I could see Gordon and Barry and all the boys from Florida. Yeah.
And then I remember when him and Rotunda got hot
Right.
in the NWA, and all of a
Right.
sudden Vince plucked them. I couldn't believe
Smart
that.
move,
That
Vince.
was crazy.
Smart
But
move.
we're gonna get to him in a second.
All right.
Mom responds after photo of her hugging a son raises eyebrows when Utah mom Amber Wright posted a video of herself sharing a celebratory embrace with her son Brixton.
Brixton.
I never heard that. name
Brixton
before.
sounds like a place in Jersey. Go
After a
ahead.
football game, she never expected what would go viral. I was so proud, she says. I was a proud mom. I never expected to turn into something where you're sexually assaulting your kid.
What? Wait, what are you talking about? What does this photo look like?
Right there. It's up there right now.
Well, huh?
So I think the problem here, Farrow, is if you're a
Oh.
hot mom,
Okay.
like
yeah.
it was some like,
What, she jumped into his arms
Yeah,
and,
then
and
she's-
gave him a kiss?
and
Well,
she's-
it's his mother. Who cares?
but she's hot.
So what?
I'm just saying.
She's not allowed to have affection?
I'm not saying that she
Oh, this
doesn't have
is
a right
weird.
to have affection. What I'm trying to say to you, if it was a cumbersome looking mother.
Oh, well, first of all, if it was Mama Cass, she's not jumping into the kid's arms because he's falling on the ground.
Only you would
and
pull-
now there's a pothole in yard number 40.
Only
what are you
would pull
talking about?
Mama Cass out. Like half our audience doesn't even know who Mama Cass is.
Well, look it up, boys and girls. She's kind of big. Anyway.
I would like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monte The Pharaoh and Jimmy Farrow, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make up the band to Wisteria Hall.
Yes,
Wisteria
sir.
Hall is actually in studio
Yes,
today. And
sir.
we play
Yes,
a
sir.
song. Hopefully Barry will take. If not, we'll play it for Barry.
Okay.
Wisteria Hall's songs sing such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page.
Yeah. Barry's still reeling from our opening subject, but okay.
Okay.
He's like, what the hell's going on here? What kind of show is this?
Anyway, I'm talking about the Wisteria Hall YouTube page.
Yeah, well, you like and subscribe on that. And
Thank
then,
you.
of course, you mosey on over to the Monte and Pharaoh page where you like, subscribe, and remember, don't touch your member, become a member.
You just got that last week. Good job.
Yeah, I like that.
That was very
that's,
good.
That's a new one.
Download their music on Spotify, Apple Music, and Reverb Nation. If you didn't know it, you are watching Long Island's number one pro wrestler broadcast.
And the world's.
Monte the Pharaoh, and the world.
Yeah.
Catch us on the Monte the Pharaoh YouTube page and Monte the Pharaoh Facebook Live page. Hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, the Monte the Pharaoh Twitch TV page. And if you're lucky enough to live in New York,
Lucky enough.
which we were speaking to Barry about, which he seems to have lived all over the world,
He's
which is
been
pretty cool.
here, there, and everywhere.
Channel 20 every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and Channel 115 Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. and Saturday at 11:30 a.m.
There
and
you go.
Channel 20 at Tuesdays at 7 p.m.
Gotcha.
And I keep reminding everybody, go to this new app, Intuitive. It's the new Netflix, and the best part about it, Jimmy,
It's free.
there you go. And on there is movies, comedy shows, music videos, everything you
check,
need, and
check.
it's free.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have
The flagship show of the whole kit and caboodle, Monte and the Pharaoh. And that's at Intuitive Network, and that is spelled INTITIVE. Intuitive. Get into it.
I know everybody wants us to shut up, so we're going to go to a quick commercial break
Yeah.
and return with the icon,
Yep.
the legend. I just got to ask him, like, how it feels that people just recognize him as probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, pro wrestlers in the history of the sport.
When wrestling was really wrestling.
There you go.
We'll be back in a moment, folks.
Sir,
Ah.
Manscaped,
Uh-huh.
have you tried the new equipment that's been sent?
I'm afraid because it says weed whacker. I'm scared.
Maven, Manscaped. What are you thinking about
Love it.
Manscaped, dude?
Love it.
What do you use it for?
Necessity. What don't I use it for? Put it this way: the only hair I have on my entire body is these eyebrows.
Yeah.
That you see. These
Wow.
caterpillars racing to the middle of my nose. That's it.
That is it.
That's all. That's all I have, and that's all I want.
That's the
So
pick.
Manscaped is a
You-
must.
We were talking before the show. There's nothing worse than just hair.
Yeah.
Right? Hair on a woman, hair on a man. It's just bad.
Absolutely. And it's the one thing that the older I get, it starts growing more in unwanted areas.
Absolutely.
I hate it.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Just going to go out there.
Oh, boy.
Go for it.
You're doing a deed.
Yes.
Again, I don't want you to have to admit this because we, as men, we try not to admit this. But if you're going to
Oh,
go
I
do
know
the deed
where-
on a
I
woman,
know where
would you
he's
rather
going.
have her be hairless or a little hair, racing stripe, or
Racing stripe.
full retro bush?
Well,
Racing stripe.
Retro Bush is out.
Yes, thank you.
Retro Bush is out.
Yeah.
I don't mind a small, well manicured landing strip. Every now and then, if it's completely, and I'm talking like baby's ass bald, then I start. Where is that pedophilia line? I don't want to
Wow.
wander into that.
That's
thought
very
of it like
interesting.
that.
I never thought about that. You're a
Wow.
smart dude. Holy shit.
So if the landing strip is clean enough for the plane to go in smoothly, you're cool with that?
If the landing strip has, like I said, well manicured,
Yeah,
you can see both sides. It's not
Like blinking lights on both sides of that
I
landing?
just don't. I don't want. I don't want the shrubbery going off into unwanted areas on that as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, look
but-
what you found. Ooh.
I got to be all honest though. Hey,
Ah.
the older I get though, I don't think I can be as
I found it! I found
have
it!
you ever gone down there and like just like she slowly brings down the underwear, then
What is
retro? Just,
absolutely.
You're like, whoa!
Wow,
Yeah,
like,
I'm
like
46,
it
of
pops
course.
out?
Do you like walk out or what do you do?
No, I muster through. I muster up the courage to get
finish
through.
up.
Trooper.
Yeah.
He's a trooper. Gotta give him an A.
Oh, not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah,
There you
no,
go.
I hear you.
There you
Listen,
go.
I couldn't
Super
say.
Bush.
I couldn't say. Well, if you have the same beliefs as Maven, does Manscaped could help you?
Absolutely.
The weed whacker.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I may have to, like, go in a room, close the door, and hang out with the weed whacker for a little while.
Yeah, I think you're a retro guy, aren't you?
I like 70s adult films, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
but
only
with that,
Ron
we're going to take a
Jeremy,
quick
Batman.
commercial break, and we'll be
Anyway.
back with this wrestling icon, Maven.
We will see you in a drop kick second.
Drop kick. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, filmed only here at Indie Music Studios out of Ronkonkoma, New York. And on the couch, the great Barry Windham. Barry, how are you, buddy?
Doing great, doing great.
You look great, man. I saw you on a virtual signing yesterday. I was like, damn, he looks like he's in great shape.
Well, I had the heart attack back in November. I was out for 30 minutes at the airport, no heartbeat, nothing. And there was a doctor there, which I've got to find out who that is, and a guy that did the CPR on me for 30 minutes. And I was out, no heartbeat, no nothing.
Barry, may I ask, right, you have the heart attack when you're out. Do you still feel like your mind is working, or you just don't remember anything?
I don't remember, falling or anything. I was walking up the ramp to the counter, and at the counter I just dropped, and I don't remember any of that. But I remember the doc holding my head and looking at me, talking to me in my face, and then nothing after that until I was at the hospital and woke up after surgery.
How are you emotionally, right? We both have gone through this, and it's
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah?
Some of the medicines mess with you, but I'm working out my doses and everything's working out.
Okay.
Just the one I'm having trouble with is a cholesterol medicine. It's brutal. It just burns from the inside. It's terrible medicine. So we're just trying to get that dosage right, and from that it ought to be all right.
Now, again, I'm not looking into your medical history, but were you getting regular checkups, and this was undiagnosed, or were you not getting checked up enough, or I don't know?
Well, I hadn't been to the doctor in a while, and I was talking to Rotundo about 2 weeks before it happened, and we were walking through at Charlotte Airport, and I'm saying, man, wouldn't it be terrible to have a heart attack right here in the airport?
Uh-oh.
bingo.
You spoke it
2
out
weeks
loud.
in a
Yeah,
row,
What'd you do that
but
for?
I mean, I felt it because
Oh.
you know, we were carrying our bags and we had to go from all the way one end to the very opposite side of the airport.
You felt something.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa, just out of breath. My legs were gone. So I mean, I knew something was going on, and I had just started back on some blood pressure medicine, but it just didn't help.
You know,
Just had that 100% blockage.
I think it's a blessing maybe that happened in the airport because
Oh,
you had
yeah.
a bunch of people there with
Right.
stuff right there. I guess they shocked you, whatever
I
else. they
was
did.
lucky that the person behind me was a doctor.
Oh, my God.
A female doctor. I don't know who she is. I got to find out who she is. And the guy from somewhere in South Carolina for 30 minutes. I mean, my ribs were separated, and I couldn't lay down and sleep for 2 months because my ribs were so beat up from him
Yeah.
Right.
mashing me. But I mean, you know, they got to be really vigorous with that.
Yeah.
So I could just imagine what I look like out there. It's tubby shit just bouncing around, you know, pressing on my chest. But
And I think you told me they put a stent in, right? So they didn't
Yeah.
have to crack you open. They went right through your groin, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, right?
just put a stent in, and that was just had the one blockage.
Wow.
And,
And the rest of the arteries were good.
yeah.
How does it feel that the wrestling world, everybody was just so sad when it happened, but so happy, and the love, and I'm sure you got people visiting you and everything else. How does that make you feel?
Well, you know, I really didn't know, you know, that anything was going on. You know, I wasn't looking at Facebook or anything for about, I'd say about 3 months. You know, probably March. You know, I was just starting to get up and get around and get up on my feet. But I mean, my niece started a GoFundMe page, which paid a bunch of my hospital bills. But you know, now I've got insurance after I had the dadgum thing. Then I figure out, you know, just stuff you never think about.
Right.
You know, you just take for granted. And so I got a lot of things straight now.
Well, I got to tell you, I know we're glad you're here with us, and
Oh, yeah.
you were in our prayers when it happened, and you know,
Yeah, I had a lot of prayers for me.
well, God bless. That's really important.
All right. Let's move on to, you know, your reputation in this business. I'm not sure how you feel about it, but I want to ask you about it. But, you know, from the Ric Flairs to the Arn Andersons to Mike, myself, all the fans, you really have a very, very impeccable reputation and are really loved and remembered as one of the greatest, clearly top 10 to many, many folks. What do you attribute that to, that you've been so fondly remembered? Was it just doing the right thing over the course of your career? Or, you know, how does that make you feel knowing just how respected Barry Windham really is?
Well, you know, just in the ring, I guess one of the main things that sticks out in my mind that Eddie Graham said to me, he said, you have to work a shoot. You know, like you have to go into a match like it's a real fight, and then you work a real fight. And I took that and I applied it, and you know, and then I thought about selling and all that, and it just, you know, and I had really good teachers down there in Florida too. They had so many guys come through there: Morocco, LeDuc, the Ortons. I mean, all those guys. I worked with every one of them. I worked, you know, 30 minutes and 45 minutes. We went Broadway with all of them. You know, Dusty was doing that for me just so I could learn, and it. I just think that's it. You know, just the stuff in the ring.
I'm assuming you learned from your father also, right? And both of you huge guys, what real wrestlers are. But your father had the mic skills of a very boisterous guy, but you took it a different route. You took it more like a quiet, soft-spoken guy. How come you took that approach, or that was natural to you?
You know, and I think that just goes back, you know, to learning from Eddie and Dusty. Just try to be natural. And, you know, there are times you got to show your emotion, too. You got to use your face, your body, your hands, everything. And those are just things, you know, that I just took in. And it was, I guess what I did is I always tried to, you know, at the end of the day, I would always think back about what I learned that day, whether it was about the business or life, before I went to sleep. And it's just, you know, it's just one of those things you just add it up and add it up. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if other people do that. I don't know. It's just the way I did things.
Were you able to? Were you ever offered a gimmick that could have derailed your image? Like you really never were given anything goofy, if you understand what I'm saying.
No, no, not at all.
You
No.
managed to somehow keep that Barry Windham, the wrestler, intact all those years. Were you ever offered something where you were like, "I'm not doing that. That's dumb."
Well, I mean, working for Vince in WWE, he wanted, something else. And,
Okay.
and I fought him tooth and nail. I was wearing all the camo stuff, but I was wearing my boots underneath it, or I had my hair blonde, or, just always. And, I think that's why Vince didn't really go with me, because I was always just kind of defiant.
Okay.
But I was still there and did my job. But,
Do you remember any? I'm sorry to press, but I am curious. Do you remember any particular one with Vince where he was like, "Okay, wear this"? Was there any particular one?
Well,
where you were
I would probably think the Stalker, right?
yeah, that was a stalker.
That
That
was
was
a
a
okay,
stalker,
stalker.
okay.
And I don't know, maybe Pritchard, that was his idea. I don't know, but anyway, I felt it was kind of a rib,
Right.
and just maybe a little payback for, for leaving before. But
Oh, so you think that's payback when
Interesting.
Why did you leave when you guys were so hot, you and Mike? What made you leave the WWE?
well, I mean, we had been in Florida before that, and we were home every night, and then we're there, and it was 3 months on the road, never home. You know,
Yeah.
96 days, I think was what we went, 92 or 96,
Mm-hmm.
without going home. We might have had a day off on the road, but there was no way to get home. And we were in Baltimore, and Rotundo just flipped out and lost it. We were all down in the red light district, and all the guys were there, and they had their Lincolns, and they ended up playing Ram cars with Lincolns. And I guess Rotundo had rented the car. Anyway, he jumped out of the car and left me there with the car. I went back to the hotel. He was gone.
Just left.
He had flown home that night. He just flipped out.
Just
so,
had enough.
so I went to Boston the next night and worked with SD Jones, and Chief J Strongbow was there, and they called Vince, had Vince on the phone. I said, "No, I'm going home. Mike's home," and I didn't talk to him again after that. And it just, I just think it kind of hung with him, which it would have too, if it was been me. But he just ran guys ragged there.
Yeah.
Drugs were rampant, and it was.
Not for you.
It was a great time, but it was a bad time too.
Right,
I gotcha.
right.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I mean, you guys were crazy over back then. It was like, forget about it. I thought you could have, both of you guys could have went on. I mean, he clearly went on as the IRS gimmick for quite a while, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
clearly
if we'd have
could
stuck
have
it out, we'd have been included. But
I mean, what was the money difference between the WWE or Georgia Championship Wrestling of Florida? You hear, we have a lot of guys in here and they talk about the big paydays they got down south. But then I talked to some other people that were in the biz and they're like, it really wasn't what you think. All the big paydays occurred up here. Which would be more accurate?
let's see, this was 95. I think Mike and I made about $225,000 that year, which,
Wow.
to us was a lot then.
That's a lot to me now.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
good money.
But you had other guys making
Sure.
millions.
Oh, sure.
I think that was probably one of the things that kind of turned me off to the business too, is kind of the pay disparity. But those guys worked their ass off that are in that spot too. After seeing Windham in it and Cena, they're just gone all the time. They're always busy, or always were.
Yeah, I think you have to make that conscious decision that you're going to marry the business in order to be that successful, right?
Yeah. You gotta go with it 100%.
Barry,
Past that point.
yeah, no, I get it. It's a tough time, but I got to clear this off the table. You lost your nephew recently.
Yeah.
You want to share your thoughts about what's going on with your family, and I mean, for wrestling fans, obvious a sad time, but I mean, my heart went out to you, your family, and the Rotunda family. It's just a shame.
Yeah, it's still pretty hard to talk about, but I mean, he was just such a beautiful person.
Yeah. Well, our prayers are with you guys, man. It's
Yeah, he's going to be sorely missed.
He's one of the most brilliant minds in the business currently, that's for sure. That is for sure.
Yeah, it's really hard on his family. I don't know how they're getting by.
Barry, you worked with some of the great promoters of all time. I am curious, how come you never really did work with the AWA, if I can ask?
I only worked just one shot in there for Vern, but you know, I guess with my time in Florida, that you know, with my start in my career, and then with all the guys that had come in there, most of them, you know, were New York guys.
Mhm.
So I think that was a pretty natural progression, and with my dad being there.
Sure.
I never really talked to Vern or you know, or about working there or anything. It was just the one shot that Rotundo and I did when they ran the Dome. We worked against Stan and Steve.
Mm.
I never worked Memphis territory either, or the Northwest.
Any reasons why, or just wasn't in the cards?
I
or?
think I was just tied up where I was.
Right. Interesting. What was your impression of Vern Gagne, even though it was brief?
Well, I was little when I was around Vern when I met Vern. I met Vern and Andre the same day, so
Okay.
so I had a definite bigger impression with Andre.
Yeah.
But I remember meeting him.
how did you get along with Andre? Were you guys? You were younger, obviously.
Yeah. Whenever Andre would come in, he would travel with me in Florida. Mike Graham had a big old Cadillac limousine, and I would drive Andre around in that. I guess because he worked with my dad, and, you know, he
Right.
knew me, so he felt comfortable with me. But yeah, traveled with me all the time.
You know, with all these documentaries going on now, and everybody sees behind the curtain and things like that, would it be fair to say the stories on Andre, are they true? Did you see him like take business to his own hands when he didn't like someone, or were you not privy to that type of
Oh
stuff?
yeah, if he didn't like you, you knew it.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't like Savage.
Mm.
Let's see, somebody else.
Baby oil.
disliked.
Cheeky, right?
Yeah, he would lay in the chops on those guys.
And would you guys be back there like, oh shit, this is
Better you than me.
You know, Andre, you know, he just didn't like them. He never really hurt them, but he would sit on them and keep them in a spot where they couldn't do what they were doing. You know,
Sit on
he
him.
wasn't brutal to them. He was just almost comical to them, you know, just to where they couldn't move or something, just trapping them in a corner.
Just sit on him.
Well, your dad had some great matches against
Yeah.
him. Well, did
Yeah.
your dad ever tell you any stories? Like, did they ever like get into it at all, or because your dad could hold his own? I'm for sure against Andre.
His dad was a skyscraper himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Murdoch told me a story about, let's see, it was my dad and Murdoch and Andre at Virginia Beach. They were staying at a hotel on the beach, and he said, Murdoch, I think Murdoch started a fight. Anyway, it ended up with my dad and Andre out in the surf, and Murdoch was refereeing, and Andre was holding my dad underneath the water. But my old man told the story different. He said he was beating up Andre.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude,
Okay.
that's
Murdoch
great.
said, don't kill him. Don't fucking kill him.
And now this from Blackjack Mulligan.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But they tore up the whole hotel room, and they fought out on the deck and then out to the water.
Jeez.
You know, growing up with your dad around though, like, you know, you're a kid, right? I'm sure sometimes you like kind of push back, right? You want to be your own. Like with your father, was it
push
like?
back?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Was your
No.
father was like, I'm not saying shit to my father. I'm just do what he says.
Yes,
or what?
sir.
No, I always just did what he said. He was heavy-handed. So
Smart
I
man.
was-
Yeah,
Smart man.
he was heavy.
He was heavy. He was heavy. He
You
was
ain't
just
kidding.
big, heavy legged, heavy everything.
God.
Yeah.
Dude.
Did you want to be a football player like Dad? I mean, Dad played for the Jets, the Broncos, Blackjack Mulligan Sr.
Well, I played up through college. I went to West Texas State. Well, while I was out there, my dad and Murdoch bought the Amarillo territory.
Right.
and I was right there at school, so
You know, NFL
I think
aspirations.
that was kind of by design. I don't know if they did it or Murdoch, but anyway, I started refereeing,
Okay.
going on the road, hauling the ring, and setting up chairs and putting out posters and doing all that stuff, and it just. I think I got my first check was like $50, and I was,
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have NFL aspirations, though, or did wrestling just basically take over after college?
No, it was while I was in college, and so wrestling just kind of took over.
Just kind of took over. Excellent. You've worked with Vince McMahon, obviously. You've worked with Eric Bischoff a bit. Vince Russo. Can you tell me the difference between these three guys? To you? Your memories?
Oh, let's see. Well, Russo, I don't know. Russo didn't like me, and Bradshaw. I think really Bradshaw was the root of Russo not liking me because Bradshaw was just a bully to everybody.
Okay.
And
So that is true about
Yeah.
Bradshaw.
when we were in the ring in Japan, he would be beating up the guys. They say, "Please tag in Little Blackjack."
Tag in Little?
Yeah,
You're
that was-
Little?
You're the Little Blackjack?
Little
I was
Blackjack? Good Lord. Okay.
Baba called us back, and he had a meeting with us,
Mm-hmm.
three of us, and he said, you're too heavy with my boys.
Mm.
And I'm looking at Bradshaw. Jeez, man. But yeah, Baba called us down and said, "Okay, we'll take it easy."
Right.
Bradshaw the next night
Yeah.
didn't give a shit.
Just wailing out. Did you ever want to tell Vince Russo? I'm just curious. Or better yet, let me ask you: is Vince Russo what's wrong with the business when it comes to a guy in charge of booking a show? It sounds like he wasn't a fan of yours, and I could probably understand why. I figured you would be telling him, "I'm not doing that stupid idea of yours."
Well, I mean, it seemed like he didn't have a broad scope, a broad enough, to cover
Yeah.
all the wrestlers
Yeah,
and everything
yeah,
that was
it's
there.
just- yeah.
And he had a little narrow picture of what he wanted,
Right.
and I just never fit in it. So
Right.
I never had any personal problems with him, but I know what go on in the meetings at New York, so I know what's said about guys. So
Right.
It would only make sense too, because his whole thing was that Jerry Springer type of thing, and that,
Right.
that wasn't
That's
the type
not
of
Barry
guy. That's
Windham.
not Barry Windham at all.
How
right?
about Vince McMahon and Bischoff? What do you got for me on those two?
Bischoff, was always straight up with me. I never had any problems with him. And Vince, just we started out well in '85, but then after I left, it was just he takes digs, and if you keep going with it, you'll just bury yourself, which I probably did.
Mm.
Just
Vince not very forgiving, in other words.
no.
Gotcha.
To be fair to Vince, do you think that he had a right to be angry at you for walking out on him in '85?
Well, I don't know, because he changed the way that he did business too, because there were so many guys dropping out, dying, overdosing, and just couldn't handle the travel. And there were, we were running 3 crews in those days too, so we were going everywhere. But he learned from it, and I'm sure that if I had participated more, we could have worked something out. But I was there, and then I was just doing what I was doing, and never talked to me or anything, and I was just like, forget this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd
Right.
rather go back home or something.
So the WWE right now looks like Cody Rhodes is eventually going to be the face of this company. I'm sure you obviously had interactions with Dusty. Can you talk to us about Dusty, the wrestler, the promoter, and the person?
Well, Dusty is. I probably learned as much from Dusty as I did from Eddie. And one thing that I always did, I watched all the matches, and that's something that Dusty told me. He said, watch all the matches, and you'll learn it. And I did. It was just one of those things that I did also. There's some guys that are out there doing it. There's some guys in the back playing cards, all night. So maybe that was a difference. But Dusty just, he was such an influence on me that I really can't, give him enough credit because he was really outstanding and as a friend and as a teacher, just an outstanding person. And Cody, he's a student of the business. He was with his dad, and his dad was running that little promotion down there, and it was basically Cody's. He was doing it to teach Cody, how to do production and promos and wrestle and everything, and he did, and he learned, and he caught on. He's a smart guy, Cody is.
Do you look at today's wrestling different than when you were growing up? I mean, do you consider like this being a joke at this point, or do you consider it being the evolution of what guys like yourself, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, created?
Well, when I look at it now, and knowing what I know about the production too, I just don't know if I could do it. I'm sure that I could, because I did before. But now, just looking at it and thinking about it and looking at all that goes into it, I mean, I watched Randy Orton memorize 2 sheets of promos and then go out there and just nail it. And it's like, God, I can't remember one sentence, and read it back like that.
Yeah, it's difficult.
But Cena was like that. Cena, can see something and do it word for word right over. And there's just some things you're just not capable of doing, and there's some guys that are super capable.
Do you think the business is better with the scripted scripts? I'm not saying that right, or the ad lib script?
Or has it lost its organic feel somewhat?
I think it's lost the real, like the sporting feel of it, because now it's more of an entertainment. People watch it to see, the drama of it instead of, the actual wrestling. And then there are some that watch it just for the wrestling. But when I was raised and brought up in it, it was wrestling was first. That's what it was called. So that's what I mainly studied. And I just don't think I could do it now.
What do you think of all the flipping and the flopping? I mean, Rey Mysterio back in the day was the exception. Now everybody seems to do what Rey Mysterio does.
Yeah.
How's that make Barry Windham, the traditional wrestler, feel when he sees this?
It's what the business has evolved to, and I don't know if it'll go back, to the big guys, giants fighting each other, in bloodbaths and cage matches and stuff. I think with NBC owning it, it'll become even more generic. It'll, family content. It's such a different business.
Is Vince McMahon's stepping down and selling the company good or bad for the future of pro wrestling? After all, Vince has contributed to the business. What do you think?
It's in good hands with Hunter and Stephanie.
Okay.
They're dedicated to it, and he wants to continue it, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's really a good guy. Hunter, I can't say anything bad about him.
Nice.
Just speaking about Dusty Rhodes, just about 2 weeks ago, we had Terry Reynolds in studio, and kind of glossed over, but we were just having a discussion about her relationship with Dustin and blah, blah, blah. But she mentioned you specifically. She said she heard an interview with you saying that she slept around with all the boys, and she denied it. I never had seen that at all, but she did mention you specifically. Yeah. Did you know Terry at all as a person, or?
I didn't know she said that, and I don't think I ever said anything public about her, but if she wants to, I can tell everything I know about her. I've seen her in the Techwood parking lot, getting in a van, so on different occasions.
If the van's rocking, don't come knocking. Is that what you're getting?
Yeah.
What was it, a community van?
It was a community van, all right. Yeah, well, first come, first serve. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I guess basically then you agree, because she does talk during the interview that Dusty wasn't happy about her being involved with his son. So I tend to think that you agree then, right? She wasn't good for him.
No, she wasn't good for him at all. They weren't good for each other. And just wish her all the luck in the world.
I gotcha.
Fair enough. Fair
Again,
enough.
it's got to
enough.
be tough. You're all family, right? And then you see things going on, and you obviously know who Sonny is, right? And what Sonny has done to Chris Candido.
Yeah.
How do you guys deal with that? Having these personal relationships with your brother, and you see something you may not agree with. What's your approach there? Is there an approach, or is there just nothing?
Well, you got to let people do what they're going to do.
Sure. Sure.
If they ask, then you can tell them. But I mean, it's tough. It's tough to do. When Dustin was married to her, I never said one bad thing to him about her or anything, and always supported her, and even worked with her. So.
Are you surprised that she said a few things about you, or did that catch you by surprise?
I personally,
does anything catch you by surprise in this business after all these years? Probably not.
That's probably
probably
it.
not. So,
and like I said, I had never seen that either, so I was
I was like, what? We looked at each other like, Barry Windham, what? Okay.
So we discussed earlier, you have all these documentaries coming out, and I don't know if you watch them. This year they had the documentary on the Graham family. It was clearly the angle was the suicidal tendencies of the entire family. When you look at the Graham family now, after your long relationship with Mike and your training and tutelage of Eddie, did you see that growing up, or is it something afterwards you're like, man, I just didn't see it, and this is what they were about?
After Eddie did it, Mike was one of my best friends. We traveled together all the time, and we went boating and fishing and diving. Mike wasn't the same after his dad shot himself, but when his son did it, Mike was dead set on killing himself. He asked me more than a dozen times if I had my gun in my truck, if I brought a gun with me, if I would loan him a gun, because his wife had taken all the guns out of the house. And I mean, he was a serious alcoholic, and just a few drinks, would make him loopy. And as soon as he would get drunk, he would start talking, fuck, why am I here? I'm going to kill myself. And I guess he just did it that night in October in Daytona. I got really good memories of Mike. He was, like I said, he was one of my best friends. But just after his son had killed himself, and his son, I guess Mike had tried to get his son into the business and as a referee or whatever, and he never could, just click, and never could find his spot to stick in. And he had a bad relationship with a girl, and he just shot himself. So I think that, I don't know if it was, now that you mention it, I think that there's history that Eddie's father killed himself too. So I mean, those things you just don't know. They can be there, they can be in someone's mind and their psyche. I don't know, but just
when he's asking you to borrow a gun, and you said a whole bunch of times, at any point did you get like angry at him, like, Mike, snap the F out of it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I talked to Mike.
So you tried as hard as you could to get through to him. What are you doing?
I would hug him. It was just brutal. It was just a tough time on him. But I
must have felt helpless.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
After the occurrence, do you feel like suicide is selfish in a way? Leaving friends?
Absolutely. I was pissed off at him for 5 years after he did that.
It must have been.
Must have just.
Why?
Motherfucker,
Yeah.
why did you do that?
Yeah.
And there's no answer.
That's the worst part. You don't get an answer.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Now, how am I supposed to ask him this one? Not to lighten the mood, but this is hard to ask the man himself who's in the family. Okay, rank the Windham family. Where do you rank as the all-time great families? This is an impossible question.
Well, I got to be honest.
They're
I'll
obviously
start
up in the
first.
penthouse.
I'll start
I mean,
first. Definitely in the top 5 wrestling
Yeah.
families in the history of wrestling,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Where would you put the Windham, your own family, for God's sakes? What a strange question, but I like it. I do like it. Where would you put yourself, considering the Rhodeses and the Samoan dynasty and the other
Eric,
families?
well, I don't know. I never really thought about that. But,
There we
it's just-
go.
That would take some thought. I
Yeah.
think, to really do an honest ranking, but it's all just opinion anyway.
Oh, well, of course.
We're
but-
number 1.
Well,
There you go.
But
That's the
when you
perfect
look,
answer.
But when you look
That's
at
it.
yourself, you've looked at your career and what you have accomplished. Would you say that you're one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, in the top 10?
No, I don't feel that, but
Interesting.
Can you explain why you don't feel that?
I don't know. I guess because I was the one in there doing it, and to me, just sometimes it just came natural, but it was just the way that I taught myself to do it. So I guess different egos handle things differently, and I'm just not that way, and it just, if someone tells me that, I tell them thank you. I'm very gracious, but there's a lot of other talented guys out there.
When they gave the NWA title finally, you were able to achieve that. Did you feel that this was your opportunity to carry this company? And were you disappointed when they took it from you that quickly?
Well, I knew it was going to be a short time, a year or less that I would have it, but they wanted to get the title back from Japan, and I just don't know, because I blew out my knee while I had the championship too,
Ugh.
so I had to have surgery on my knee. I just don't know if there were any other plans for it or not. I just had it for the short time, and I was home most of that time with a knee injury.
Was it important to you to win that world title?
Yeah,
We've
good
had some
question.
wrestlers come in and say, it was just another paycheck. But was it important to you to win that world title? It did wonders for your overall career as far as coming from a fan's perspective. You're a world champion.
Well, it had to, because I had chased it for so long, and I had made so many promos and done so many hour Broadways and matches with Flair that to make any sense, I should have had it. But to do it that way, it accomplished it, and I dropped it back to Rick. It is what it is. I got it, but didn't get to keep it for very long.
How frustrating was it getting hurt? You finally win a world title, you get hurt? I would have been like freaking out.
Yeah. I can identify with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Barry B, are you a Jet fan?
Yeah.
Barry Windham, the Jet fan. We got to love it.
Here's the one thing I have to ask you about. Again, I've said it a million times what a huge fan I was of yours. The one thing I couldn't stand, and I need to understand this.
Uh-oh. What's this?
Whose idea was it to make you the fake Sting?
Oh, yeah. Whose idea was that?
And were you okay with that?
Yeah, I was all right with it.
Okay.
I had been off for probably 4 or 5 months. I don't know if I had surgery on my wrist, I think is what it was. I think because that was after the angle with Arn. Was kind of just looking for a spot to get back in, and I was there in Chicago, but I wasn't on the card. And Ole was booking. He didn't have a finish for Sting's match. And Sting and I were just sitting there talking back and forth, and I think it was actually my idea. I said, why don't I just dress up like you and come out there and we'll do this, simple finish, but it ought to work. And we ran it by Ole. He said, yeah. So Sting and I went to the hair salon. I got my hair cut.
That sounds good.
Dyed, and went back to the dressing room, painted my face. He had an extra pair of tights. I put on Stan Hansen's boots and went out there and did it.
Wow. And you're okay cutting your hair? Like, that surprised me in itself. I'm like, man, I can't believe this dude just cut his hair like that.
Yeah. It was, to be honest, it was pretty much my idea. But, I had to figure something to get back in the door. And I thought that might have some impact, and just introducing back, and I thought, fuck my hair, it'll always grow back.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. All right, we're going to hit you with something called the Pharaoh's Final Question. Then we're going to go to commercial break. If you're interested, we're going to pay a little homage to you. We got Wisteria Hall here. They're going to sing Rap is Crap. If you'd like to join them on stage, that would be terrific. If you're not, that's fine. But
Or you could just throw banana peels at us while we perform, all depending on your point of view and mood.
I'll just listen.
I told you he was just going to listen. That's right. Hey, we get to perform for Barry Windham, Bart, man. That works for me. That works for me. All right, final question. We asked you if you're comfortable with the fact that most smart wrestling fans put you in the top 10 greatest wrestlers of all time if they really see the whole picture. Who is Barry Windham's, I'll make the list shorter, who is Barry Windham's, in your opinion, the 3 greatest, most important wrestlers of all time? Since you don't want to put yourself in the conversation, who would you say are the 3 most important, greatest wrestlers, in Barry Windham's opinion, of all time?
Well, I won't say of all time, but of the times that I've known, it's
Okay.
Hogan, Flair, and I don't know. We have to put a third one there. I guess The Rock. Just because of what they did for the business.
Did you hear that pop the other night? The Rock came back. The Rock
Yeah.
is back now. Thought the
Yeah.
roof was going to cave in. Interesting. The Rock over Stone Cold?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because he still has such an impact. He's still a big
He
player.
sure does. Yeah.
and what's amazing, you named Hogan and Flair, who's still,
Oh,
after all
please.
this
That's
time,
Ali
still remain
Frazier.
on that list, which means, and think about this, you were one of Flair's main opponents for such a very, very long time. So
sure.
it just solidifies what we've been saying about you.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, guys, and Wisteria Hall will be on stage, and they're going to sing Rap is Crap.
Yeah,
And
that
then
we will.
we'll see how that goes.
See you in a moment, neighbor.
All right.
Sir,
Ah.
Manscaped,
Uh-huh.
have you tried the new equipment that's been sent?
I'm afraid because it says weed whacker. I'm scared.
Maven, Manscaped, what are you thinking about
Love it.
Manscaped, dude?
Love it.
What do you use it for?
Necessity. What don't I use it for? Put it this way. The only hair I have on my entire body is these eyebrows.
Yeah.
That you see. These caterpillars racing to the middle of my nose. That's it.
That is it.
That's all I have. And that's all I want.
That's the
So
bit-
Manscaped is a
You-
must.
We were talking before the show. There's nothing worse than just hair.
Yeah.
Right? Hair on a woman, hair on a man. It's just bad.
Absolutely. And it's the one thing that the older I get, it starts growing more in unwanted areas.
Absolutely.
I hate it.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Just going to go out there.
Oh, boy.
Go for it.
You're doing a deed.
Yes.
Again, I don't want you to have to admit this because we, as men, we try not to admit this. But if you're going to
Oh,
go
I
do
know
the deed
where-
on a
I
woman,
know where
would you
he's
rather
going.
have her be hairless or a little hair, racing stripe, or
Racing stripe.
full retro bush?
Well,
Racing stripe.
Retro Bush is out.
Yes, thank you.
Retro Bush is out.
Yeah.
I don't mind a small, well manicured landing strip. Every now and then, if it's completely, and I'm talking like baby's ass bald, then I start. Where is that pedophilia line? I don't want to
Wow.
wander into that.
That's
thought
very
of it like
interesting.
that.
I never thought about that. You're a
Wow.
smart dude. Holy shit.
So if the landing strip is clean enough for the plane to go in smoothly, you're cool with that?
If the landing strip has, like I said, well manicured,
Yeah,
you can see both sides. It's not
Like blinking lights on both sides of that
I
landing?
just don't. I don't want. I don't want the shrubbery going off into unwanted areas on that as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, look
but-
what you found. Ooh.
I got to be all honest though. Hey, the older I get though, I don't think I can be as
I found it! I found
have
it!
you ever gone down there and she slowly brings down the underwear and then
What is
retro? Just,
Absolutely.
You're like, whoa.
Wow,
Yeah,
like,
I'm 46.
like it pops
of
out?
course.
Do you like walk out or what do you do?
No, I muster through. I muster up the courage to get
He's a
through.
trooper. He's a trooper. Gotta give him an A.
Yeah,
for
not
that.
all heroes wear capes.
Yeah,
There you go.
I hear you.
There you
Listen,
go.
I couldn't
Super
say.
Bush.
I couldn't say. Well, if you have the same beliefs as Maven does, Manscaped could help you.
Absolutely.
The weed whacker.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I may have to, go in a room, close the door, and hang out with the weed whacker for a little while.
Yeah, I think you're a retro guy, aren't you?
I like 70s adult films, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
But
only
with that,
Ron
we're going to take a
Jeremy,
quick
Batman.
commercial break, and we'll be
Anyway.
back with this wrestling icon, Maven.
We will see you in a drop kick second.
Drop kick.
The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I gotta take a dump.
What?
No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP. And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence, Collision Specialists, 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler and broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, where we have the great Barry Windham in studio. You got Wisteria Hall on stage. We were talking about, did you ever think that Barry Windham would be serenaded by a bunch of 50-year-olds?
We'll have to see how this concert turns out.
So how did Rap is Crap come about? Like, where did that happen?
Jimmy Hart and Kurt and I were sitting on the bus, and we were just shooting the breeze. And Kurt always wanted to be a cowboy. Yeah. So Jimmy said to him, "Well, you could be the lead singer. We could be a group." And, I came up with the name, the West Texas Rednecks, and that clicked. So, I mean, it was just a collaboration on the front seat of a bus just one afternoon.
So when this thing starts to explode, though, and they decide to put you in front of 30,000 people, were you like, I can't do this? Or could you drum? I don't know. Were you a drummer?
I couldn't drum
They
with
put
the beat.
towels on his drums.
Yeah, I had the towels on the drums.
Unbelievable. Well, This is our homage to the great Barry Windham. Everybody, Wisteria Hall, rap is crap.
Hit it.
I like country music. I love country girls. I like Willie Nelson. And don't forget about Pearl. There's only one thing that I hate, 'cause it's a bunch of crap. I hate rap. I like NASCAR racing. Richard Petty's still the king. Some call me a redneck, but you know that's a beautiful thing. There's only one thing that I hate, 'cause it's a bunch of crap. I hate rap. Yeah! Play a part, man. Woo! There's only one thing that I hate, 'cause it's a bunch of crap. I hate rap. One more time. There's only one thing that I hate, 'cause it's a bunch of crap. I hate rap. What is it? Rap is crap. One more time. Rap is crap. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Unbelievable.
If you don't mind.
Did you ever think you'd come on these interview shows and people would be playing music to you?
No.
You're used to the old question and answer thing.
And now
right?
Barry is more than ready to go home.
So,
Time out.
What?
I need you to hold the mic for a second.
real quick, Bart.
Making a dedication song to Jimmy and Carrie.
What?
Yeah.
What are you doing that for?
Long may you run, long may you run, although the changes have come. Chrome heart shining in the sun, long may you burst.
All right.
Long may we run. Thanks.
All right,
Bob,
with
man.
that, I want to thank the great Barry Windham for coming in studio. Thank you for all you've done for this industry. Thank you for everything, and thank you from all the fans to you. Incredible. Everybody knows Jimmy's last show was today as he goes to Florida to start a new life. We will see everybody next Thursday with me and maybe a special guest for both shows. And Jimmy, hopefully you get your stuff hooked up, and Jimmy will be through the internet hopefully within the next couple of weeks. Until then, we as a group, the Monte and the Pharaoh family, will hang in there and we will knock out a home run. Barry, once again, an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
You've been watching
I
Monte and the
appreciate
Pharaoh. And on behalf of everyone here, later.
I'm having one time with Monte The Pharaoh, and I'm going to put him in the crossface, and he's going to go down right now. Yeah.
Great job, man. Thank you so much.
There was a big story about your claim that you made a man disappear after an attempted rape on your person as a teenager. Did you realize how public this was going to get with it in like police involvement?
No, hell no.
The police show.
This life is tearing me apart. This life is tearing me apart. Remember when I was with you? Love was all we really knew. I saw the beauty in this world all around me. And I tried to understand. You know, I've done the best I can. I miss the love that once was there.